Um, the topic is love. There is a mitzvah in the Torah, famous mitzvah, we all heard about it. But it's very hard to really understand how to perform it. And the mitzvah is ואהבת לרעך כמוך. ואהבת לרעך כמוך. The more accurate translation to English is, it's not like the popular translation. You should love your fellow Jew the same way you love yourself. I don't know. I saw the translation to English. What is the popular translation? Do you know? ואהבת לרעך כמוך. Love your
neighbor.
Where they took it from? Yeah, love your neighbor. There's no mitzvah to love your neighbor. I don't know why they translated it, but even in reliable translations, you know, they translate it this way, and it's not accurate and it's not true. So I want to analyze this mitzvah in general and specifically in marriage. So this mitzvah is a general mitzvah that every Jew, the same way we obligated to keep Shabbat, to put on tefillin, to sit in the sukkah, to eat matzah in Pesach, there is a mitzvah, one of the 613 mitzvah, to love every Jew. To love every Jew. Of course, it's also relevant to the closest person that you have, that you share life with, your spouse. But let's talk about it in general. Let's start from the general and see how we'll get to what is the meaning of this in marriage. The first question that you could ask yourself over here when you hear this mitzvah, what is the meaning of love? What is love? ואהבת לרעך כמוך. You should love. But what is the definition of love? I know that many books, many songs, many movies was made around this notion called love. But let me ask you, what do you think? What love is? After all what you hear and learn, and what do you think about it? What is love? What is the definition of love? Any ideas? Caring? Caring, okay?
Giving to somebody else and not wanting anything in return.
Where you took this from? How it comes from the word, the notion love. So she said love is giving, okay? So what other ideas what love is? How do you love someone, something?
Devotion.
Devotion, okay.
Care.
Care, devotion. Where is it? Where is it in the system?
Heart.
Where? The heart, right? It's in the heart. So, is it feelings?
It's action.
It's action, not feelings, or action
It's more
that,
actions than feelings.
but it comes from feelings.
For women, more feelings.
My question, if it's true, is the following. How anyone can command you to feel? Either you feel it or not, right? And if you don't, and someone will command you, please feel, could you just convince yourself to feel? How it works? How it's a mitzvah? How I could command someone to feel something? Yeah.
If you focus on the good, then you'll come to love.
Then the feeling will wake, will create by your thinking positive.
Sorry, I might gonna ask you some stupid question, but I want to know what kind of love you asking? Like between husband and wife, or between two friends? What kind of love?
I started with the fact that the Torah commands us to love every Jew, Every Jew, just because he's a Jew. And I proved it later, where it's written. But it's not just between spouse, between husband and wife. Every Jew, right? So what is love? Where it's coming from? How I could be commended to do it, right?
So if it's a mitzvah, it cannot be a feeling, just action.
Exactly. That's where I want to. That's where I want to go, because if it's a feeling, listen. Let's continue to analyze this verse. Ve'ahavta, the original in Hebrew. Ve'ahavta le're'acha kamocha. The literal translation of re'acha is your friend. Re'acha, your friend. So if this person is my friend, no one has to encourage me to love him, because if I'm not loving him, he will not be my friend. So if he's my friend, I already has some feelings toward this person, right? So again, that's even increase or make the question even bigger. How could you command about love if love is feelings? And why the Torah says that you should love your friend? And you know what's the most complicated things about this mitzvah? The last word. Ve'ahavta le'reacha kamocha. The same way you love yourself. Two assumptions over here. Assumption number one, that you love yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Is it always everyone love themselves? I know few people that has really problems with themselves. But you know what that means? That, first of all, you have to love. The assumption is that you love yourself. And the mitzvah is not just to love someone. You are not fulfill the obligation unless you love the other person the same way you love yourself. Not less. So see, 3 words, so complicated. Ve'ahavta le'reacha kamocha. So we have question about each one of the words. What is love? How could you command on it? Le'reacha, your friend. Why do someone have to command me to love my friend? And what's kamocha? Like the same way you love yourself. Okay. So I raise a question just in order to show something, and you could take it for a general rule. Any time that you find in the Torah, anything, mitzvah or not mitzvah, anything, that when you look at it and try to really understand it, you find yourself with a lot of questions, it shows one thing. There is a big treasure over here. There is a big things. And when we answer all these questions, you will see what we're going to get. So Chazal says, "Ve'ahavta le'reacha." What's reacha? Reacha is not just your friend. Reacha is reacha b'mitzvot. Reacha, that you have something in common with. And what is this? That you, both of you, were there at Sinai when Hashem gave us the Torah, and you signed the contract together. You said Na'aseh v'nishma. Therefore, the mitzvah is to love every Jew. There is a mitzvah for every Jew to love every Jew. Question is, how could you do that? I want to love every Jew. But there are a few of them that gave me so many reasons not to love them. So how do I do it? And it's a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah to love every Jew. And what is love in general? Okay, so let's go deeper. There is another mitzvah in the Torah that mentioned the love, the word or the notion love, and it's a very famous one. We just said it. We just prayed Tfilat Arvit twice a day, mideoraita. We have to say Shema. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. What's the next word? Ve'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha. So the Torah, Hashem commands us in the same word. ואהבת לרעך כמוך, ואהבת את השם אלוקיך. Because it's the same word, if you want to understand one, you should learn from the one on the other. How do you love Hashem? So let's go back again to the question, what is the definition of love? How could you love Hashem? Now, many people, and let's take we are living in society, in the Western society. The notion love is very popular. Everyone talks about love. Unfortunately, the big educators of what love is are Hollywood producers, right? They taught us since we were very, very little. I mean, everyone who grew up in the Western society, little children, watch TV, then they know what love is. What is love according to Hollywood? In the very general way, it's connected to hugging, in a way, right? Meaning the manifestation of the notion love is physical. Let's prove that it's wrong from the fact that Hashem says in the Torah, "Ve'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha." Hashem is not physical. He doesn't have a body. You cannot hug him. And yet, you need to love him. It means, and here we start, try to understand, try to learn. Love, according to the Torah, is not physical. Because Hashem is not a material, he's not physical. He doesn't have a body. So love, take this as a first rule. Love is not physical. Just the opposite of what Hollywood taught. Love is not physical. Now, human being has two parts, a body and a soul. Hashem doesn't have a body because body is material, material is limited, Hashem is unlimited. Therefore, Hashem has no physical dimension. If Hashem commands us to love Hashem and to love our fellow Jew, it means that don't look at it don't try to understand it in a physical way. Okay? After we know that, let's go on. There is a story. You may heard about the story. The story is a famous story. It's mentioned in the Gemara. I will tell you the story. If you know it, you know it. If you're not, just heard it first time. The story is about a Gentile, a non-Jew, who came at the time of Beit HaMikdash about 200 years ago, 2,000 years ago. A little bit more than that, 2,100 years ago. He came to the famous Hillel. Hillel was the president, the Nasi of the Sanhedrin. He was the Sanhedrin is the Supreme Court of the Jewish nation at the time of the Second Temple. At the time, Hillel was the president of the Sanhedrin. His deputy was Shammai. Shammai was number 2. In the Sanhedrin, we have 71 people, scholars. So the first, Hillel was the president, and Shammai was Av Beit Adin. Av Beit Adin is the deputy, is the second to the president. So one Gentile, a sincere one, a good person, who's behaving good. You know, the Torah was given to the entire human race, not just the Jews. we got the 613 mitzvot, but before us, before Avraham Avinu, before the Jewish nation, Hashem gave 7 mitzvot to Noach, the 7 mitzvot of Bnei Noach. So this Gentile was a good person who kept the 7 mitzvot of Noach. He came first to Shammai and asked him to convert him. He said, I know you are the chosen people, I want to be part of you. I want to be converted. But I have a little problem. I know in order to be converted, I need to learn what Judaism is all about, where I'm going into, right? So I know that I have to learn what Judaism is. My problem is that I don't have too much time. So if you could summarize Judaism to me, teach me. But teach me in brief. Don't send me now to study in yeshiva for 7 years. I have no time for this. I have very limited time. Could you summarize the entire Torah, the entire Judaism to me while I'm standing on one foot? You know, even acrobat, there is some limit. How much you could stand on one foot? So that's what he wanted, to learn the entire Torah when he is standing on one foot. Shammai was a very serious person. He doesn't have time for non-make-sense conditions. So he told him, listen, you want to be converted? You understand that you have to learn what Judaism is? You have no time? Okay, go home. When you have time, come back. I can't do it. No short way. Okay. This Gentile was really sincere. He didn't want to make fun. He was really sincere, but he was a little bit naive. So Shammai taught him there is no way. You cannot be a doctor without skipping 1500 years of learning. You cannot. He didn't give up, this guy, and he went to Hillel. Hierarchy, you know, he's the president. He tried Hillel. So he came to him with the same thing. I want to be converted. I know that I have to learn. I want to learn, but I have limited time. Could you teach me the Torah, the entire Torah, while I'm standing on one foot? Hillel was more patient. That was his nature. So he looked at him and he realized that this guy is really sincere. So he told him, okay, I'll convert you with your condition. And he tricked him in an amazing way. He told him, okay, you want to know what's the entire Torah? When you're standing on one foot. He said, yes. He said, no problem, I'll tell you. And he told him the following. The entire Torah is, whatever you do not like people to do to you, don't do to others. This is the entire Torah. What do you mean that's the entire Torah? He knew, this guy, that there is 613 mitzvot in the Torah. So he gave him one sentence. In a good case, it's one mitzvah. What do you mean this is the entire Torah? So he continued and he said, don't do to others whatever you do not like people do to you. This is the entire Torah. And the rest. And you ask, what about the rest of the 613? Go learn. That's what he told him. Now, let's try to understand through this story what's going on. So first of all, there is no such a mitzvah in the Torah. It's never written anywhere, don't do to others whatever you do not like people do to you. So how come Hillel said it to him? So probably the closest thing in the Torah that could be in this category is the mitzvah that we spoke about in the beginning. Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. So the positive way to say it is love other the way you love yourself. Now the implication is, if you love other the way you love yourself, the same way you do not like people to hurt you, you will not hurt them. So this is actually the same thing, but this is a positive way to say it, or the negative way to say it. And he'll choose not to give him the original, but give him the implication, because that's not the way that this mitzvah, this is an implication of what the mitzvah is. So he didn't even tell him one mitzvah the way it is, but the implication of it. But how Hillel could say that this is the entire Torah? No need for Shabbat, no need for eat kosher, nothing, just this. So as I said, he said, this is the entire Torah, and the rest, go and learn. And here's the trick. He told him something impossible. This commandment is impossible. Don't do to others whatever you do not like people do to you. It's impossible to perform it. Because in the real level, that what the Torah demand is, as I said, the positive way is ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, meaning nothing less than the how do you love yourself. And this is impossible. Let me explain why. We have to now define what love is. And the answer, the accurate answer of what love is unification. This is love. Love is unification. It's very interesting in the Torah itself, word after word. If we go to the mitzvah of loving Hashem, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. What is Echad? One. Ve'ahavta. This is the next word. If you take the numeral summary of Echad, you have Aleph. Aleph is 1. Chet is 8. Dalet is 4. Add them together, you got number 13. Right? Echad is 13. Now take the word love. How do you say it in Hebrew? Ahava. Ahava, same number. Aleph is 1. 2 hays, ahava, 2 hays, which is 10, 5 and 5, and bet, right? So we have 13 and 13. The deep meaning, the deepest meaning of the notion love is 1. 1. Now, I'm sorry, it will be a little bit complicated, but you just woke up, right? No one's tired. If you want, I could recommend a good coffee. A healthy person is a person who loves himself, herself, himself. When do you love yourself? You know what? When you do not love yourself. When something wrong in the balance of the system. What do I mean? Hashem said, when he created Adam, it says that Hashem created Adam from 2 entities. ויצר השם אלוקים את האדם עפר מן האדמה, dust from earth, ויפח באפיו נשמת חיים. A human being is a combination of those 2. A physical and a spiritual. Now, those 2 are not a natural partners. In fact, they are just the opposite. The worst shidduch in the world is the shidduch between the body and the soul. Why? They're supposed to be partners, but there are no common denominator between them whatsoever. Anything that interested the soul, not interested the body at all, and vice versa. And Hashem took those two extreme opposite entities, tied them together, throw them to this world, and told them, get along. Really. You know what happened when Hashem did this? He created the best job for psychiatrists and psychologists. Because they are so they're so not natural, they're working together. But this is a human being. Human being has a physical side that's interested only in the here and the now, and every human being has also a soul, a neshama, that look on the big picture. The art of life, I repeat, the art of life is to realize that you have two sides, to realize that they are opposites, and never give up to manage them in harmony. And if you do that, you will be happy, you will love yourself. Anytime that you do not love yourself, it means that there is a fight. You do something for the sake of the material of the body, the neshama is really upset, and you're not happy. You could do something very spiritual and try to, diminish, take away from the body. The neshama will be happy, the body will not be happy. So the secret of happiness is a function of completion. So a healthy person is a person who manages his two parts in harmony. It's not easy. Actually, it's impossible without instructions. Direct instructions and very accurate from the creator of the body and the soul. You know how many instructions there is in the list? 630. Those are the mitzvahs. The mitzvot, the main letters in the word mitzvot are the letter tzadik vav taf, which is a word in Hebrew, tzevet, tzavta, team, a team. So every mitzvah is to connect the physical and the spiritual. Let me give you an example. All the mitzvahs that we're doing in action. You need a body in order to do a mitzvah. But you need a soul for it to be a mitzvah. The body is in charge of the action. The neshama, the soul, is in charge of the intention. And this is the team. When I do physical things, let's say I'm drinking, completely physical. Every cat, a dog, a horse do it. I could do it in the animalistic way, in the same way animals do that. But I could drink with intention. I say bracha before I drink. I say bracha before I eat and after I eat. I eat certain things that fit the spiritual dimension of myself, not the physical. Physically, you could eat anything. But you're not just physical. You're a combination of a physical and spiritual. And you have to take the account, the interest of the spiritual when you do physical action. When you do or running your life in this way, you are complete. The outcome, the result will be that you will be happy. Only when you're happy, when you love yourself, let me say it again. Only a person who loves himself could love others. Anyone who do not love themselves, they will not have no ability to love others. So this is the first thing. This is the first assumption, that you love yourself. How come there are cases of people that do not like themselves? Because they do not, they're not aware of the two parts that with combination make them human beings, or they know but ignore it on purpose, and therefore there is no completion, there is no happiness, there is no love. You do not love yourself. So the first thing is to love yourself. After you love yourself, you could start to think about loving others, and that was the trick of Hillel. Actually, after Hillel, many generations after Hillel, about 4 or 5 generations, lived also a very famous person, Rabbi Akiva. And Rabbi Akiva says, "ואהבת לרעך כמוך זה כלל גדול בתורה." Klal meaning this is a mitzvah that in it the entire Torah included. This is a klal, the kolel et hakol. It's everything in it. How? As we said, you will never love yourself if you ignore one of your parts, the body or the soul. The recipe is realize that you have 2 parts. Realize that they are not natural partners, and manage them in harmony according to the instructions, which is the Torah, the entire Torah. You have to know that there are 613 parts in the body, Ramach Ivarim v'Shasa Gidim. And Rab Chaim Vital teaching us in the name of the Ari HaKadosh that there are 613 parts in the neshama. And every mitzvah is to connecting one of these parts, the physical, to the spiritual parts. This is the mitzvahs. Those are the mitzvahs. Now, says Hillel to this person, you want the entire Torah? When you're standing on one foot, let me give you the rule. Love others the way you love yourself. You will never be able to love yourself unless you will connect all parts. Therefore, you have to learn the entire Torah. Therefore, you have no choice but go and learn. That's a trick. Okay. Now, after we know that, fine. In order to love yourself, you need to relate to all of what you are, which is the body and the soul together in harmony. Now comes the mitzvah. ואהבת לרעך כמוך. Now we could understand why לרעך, why your fellow Jew. Because he has also 613 mitzvot. And you have to love him the way you love yourself. How do you love? What is love? Love is like every other mitzvah in the Torah. An action with intention. Not just action or not just intention. Both. In order to understand this, let's try to understand something very, very difficult. How do you love Hashem? ואהבת את השם אלוקיך. How do you love Hashem? That with what? But how?
By serving.
How? How it's... How? Okay. So, let's go back for a second to the word kamocha. You could love yourself. As we said, what is love? Love is 13. 13 is 1. When you run your life in the right way, meaning according to the instructions that God gave us, you love yourself because you made those two one. The body and the soul. By your Your actions, you made them one. And therefore you love yourself, because love is one, is oneness. But you could love only yourself. Why could you love only yourself? Because the lover and the beloved is the same one. That's why you love yourself. But if so, you'll never be able to love anyone that it's not you. Because you have here two. It's not, when you love yourself, the lover and the beloved is the same one, right? Here, in order to understand it, you have to understand how to love Hashem. And actually, what is love? So, another rule, you love yourself and you could not love anyone else the way you love yourself. In order to love others, you have to extend yourself. Extend yourself. When you extend yourself, you love the extension of you that in the others. Let me explain this. Imagine a couple. Let's say a young couple, married for, let's say, 4 or 5 years. They have good marriage. They love each other. They're living okay. They're living good. This couple has children. They love their children. He loves the children. She loves the children. Healthy family. Now, clearly you could see a difference between the love that they have between themselves to the love that they have between them and their children. The difference will be that they love their children without any condition. And they love themselves with conditions. The test will be the following. Imagine again this couple, very quality people. He invests a lot in the marriage, she invests a lot in the marriage, and therefore they have a good marriage. But imagine theoretically that one day, he or she, let's talk about he, okay, it could be or he or she, either one. Imagine that he got tired from this investment, and he stopped investing. She realized that, and because she gave him a lot of credit, and after all they have very good relations, she said, okay, maybe something happening, probably will pass soon. But unfortunately it didn't. A week, a month, few months. So she told him at one day, listen, we have to talk. I realized, and you probably realized too, tell me what's going on. So they talked, and he aware of this, and he said, I don't know, which is very clear now, because he doesn't know. And another few months passed, and it stayed. That he just stopped. The old one of him is not here anymore. So even if she is very idealistic, and she continued with full force everything, at certain point, she will give up. She will give him, a chance, a week, a month, but if it will continue, she will stop. She will say, apparently with a lot of justification, listen, I have no problem to continue to invest, but I don't feel it's fair. Why do you? So there are something, even in good marriage, there is something called scoring. I mean, I'll do this, you'll do this, and I have no problem to give when you feel that you are also giving. So their love is dangerous in this situation. It shows that this love is actually a conditioned love. As long as you give, I love you. If not, I feel other feelings toward you. Very interesting that you never ever find this need of getting back from your children. You love your children. I'm talking about the healthy people. Healthy parents love their children unconditionally. They are not expecting them to give back. You know why? First of all, to be realistic, they will never do it. But it doesn't bother us. This is the thing. Why? Why it doesn't bother us? Why with the spouse it bothers us, with our children it doesn't? Why? Tell you why. Because my children came from me. It's me. It's the extension of me. My spouse, I love her, but she's not me. I met her when she was 20 or 30 or whatever. Ready, made. So we made connection, but it's not me, but my children is me. This is it. That's why. The bottom line is, I love my children because I love myself. I love myself. And anything that I invent, it's not just children. Imagine someone who has a garden in the backyard. And he take care of the garden. Plant everything, the grass himself, not a professional. He loves his garden. Imagine, for hobby, I just took few woods and made a furniture. Could be a chair, a table, whatever. I love what I did. Even though it looks much less perfect than if you buy it. But when you buy it, you bought it. But this, you did it. When you did it, you love your talent that in it. And this is the secret of love. And this is the secret of ואהבת לרעך כמוך. And that's why there is a way or a point, there is a point to commend you to love. You know how? Extend yourself. The more you give, and this is the secret of what you said in the beginning, love actually is giving. The more I give, the more I love. Because I love myself that in the thing that I give. That's why. So, people made a mistake. I give to the one that I love. Just the opposite. I love to the one who I give to. The more I give, the more I love. Now this giving should be unconditioned love. Unconditioned giving. Because if I'm giving in order to get, listen to this. Anyone who gives in order to get, he is not a giver, he is a sophisticated taker. It's a business. I will give in order to get. If I stop getting, I'll stop giving. Maybe what is it? It's the bottom line is my want to get. Let me give you another story, and I think after all what we said tonight, you probably will remember this story. But it's a good story. It's a good story with a good lesson from it. In the Western society, again, with the influence of Hollywood, they succeeded to mix up and to just turn over. What's right is wrong, and what's wrong is right. There are in Hebrew two words that are very similar when you hear them, but they are so extremely in the opposite of the scale of the meaning. One word is ahava, and the other one is ta'ava. It sounds the same, but it's written different. And here's a vav and here's a bet. Ahava with a bet, ta'ava with a vav. And they are just the opposite, just the opposite. Hollywood made them one. According to Hollywood, what is ahava? Ta'ava. What is ta'ava? To take. What is ahava? To give. But they made it, they have nothing called to give. With this cynical philosophy of the Western society, there's no such a thing, giving. Just taking. And worse than that, give in order to get. Now be aware of this. We all, I mean, Baruch Hashem, not me, I hope not too many of you too, but almost everyone in the Western society is a victim of this wrong twist philosophy. The story that I want to tell you, to just take from it this message is the following. Someone heard a lot about a very fancy, famous restaurant. He never had the chance to go there, but one day he went. He went to the restaurant, not in the busy hours, in the early afternoon. And you know what happens when you go to fancy restaurants? They give you a menu. You try to understand what's written there. Unless you know Japanese or I don't know what language, you could understand, according to what's written there, what is actually they're going to give you. So he got a menu. He doesn't know. He doesn't understand anything. Next to him, in the other table, was one person that looks that he's familiar with the stuff. He's probably a very frequent customer of this restaurant. So the waiter came and gave both of them a menu. The other person immediately said, okay, I know what I want, this is my order. So while the waiter went to the kitchen to bring the order, he turned to this person and told him, excuse me, can I ask you something? I don't understand anything. I see that you're familiar with the stuff. Could you recommend to me something over here? What did you order for yourself? So he told him, I ordered this kind of fish. It's very good. Then he asked him, why did you order fish? And the answer was, I love fish. So this person was a philosopher, and he told him, don't say that. Don't say that. Why? I love fish. Then the conversation started to become philosophical. He told him, no, you do not love fish. What are you talking about? I love fish. You do not love fish. Let me prove it to you. Do you really love the fish? If you love the fish, how come you fish it? You love him, right? Ask the fish where he wants to be. In the water. You took him from the place that he wants to be against its will. You call this love? You love the fish? But let me show you how cruel you are. You took the fish against the will of the fish out of the water. So what happened to the fish when you take it out of the water? You start to feel uncomfortable, right? Because you love the fish so much, you could not see him suffering. So what did you do because you love? You took a big thing, hit him on his head in order to make him stop twisting, right? Because you love him. And then, because your love is so great, you went to the kitchen. You take a frying pan. You take an oil. You made the oil so boiling. You cut the fish to pieces. You put it in the frying pan with a very boiling oil. Make sure that this fish is well done. All this is from love to the fish, right? And then, you take the fish and eat it to the last piece of it. And all of this is from love to the fish. Do you love fish? You don't. Let me tell you what the accurate definition here. You do not love the fish. You love yourself eating the fish. Okay, this is the story. Now go out and see people and hear them sometimes saying to each other, I love you. What do you mean? What do you mean I love you? The love of the fish. I love me taking from you. But I love me. This is ta'ava. This is not ahava. And because people was growing up on this, therefore, they succeeded to ruin completely the ability of people to really love. Look what's going on. People could go out for 2-3 years, get married, and after 3 months, this is the mistake of my life. I could not do it. I could not live with this person. It's impossible. What happened? What happened? They ruined the family. They ruined everything. They ruined the, and that's what they call love. Love is not taking. Love is giving. And the more you give, the more you love. So it's not a problem of this person, this couple, that couple. It's a general problem. They corrupt the most precious needs of a human being, which is good and real relationship. Today, if you want to be a normal, healthy person, you have to keep the Torah just to stay sane. If you don't, you're going to pay a price. And everyone pays the price. The one who really pay the price are the children of these selfish parents. That they are not happy, he is not happy with her, she is not happy with him. Okay, divorce. You know what they're doing? First of all, they do not solve any problem because the problem is there. The problem is not the spouse. The problem is you and your attitude. But who are the victims? The children. And unfortunately, in the Western society, there are so many children who grew up with no family, no two parents. In order to be healthy human being, that's the way God created the system. Human being has needs. Every kid, in order to be healthy, must have a positive figure of a father and a positive figure of a mother. If this kid will grow without it, he will have a big, huge scar in his personality. And you will see what's going on. People are scared to get married because they saw a failure in their parents' house. If they know the father, in many cases, there is a Mother Day. Now they're trying to push a Father Day too. But why there is a Mother Day? Because, unfortunately, so many people do not know who is their father. They ruined everything. You cannot play with this. A human being with his two parts, body and soul, is the most sensitive, sophisticated system that there is in the world. There is no way to operate this system without following the instructions of God. And when you try to be smart and ignore, you pay the price. And the Western society paid the price. So we have no other way. After we understand, if we understand this, we have to know again. The only way to be normal, to be healthy, is to go to the old rules. The good ones that we got them from the Creator Himself. And that means all the things that we grew up that it's so primitive. I don't know, do you have another few minutes? Are you ready to hear something not easy to digest? Listen, this kind of class, this kind of lesson that we have tonight is something that when you're in it, you could say, you know what, wow, there are many good ideas here, many things to think, to digest. But you could go out, go back to the life, and didn't change anything. And yeah, it was a nice lecture that I heard once. This is much more serious. Anyone who understands this could not be indifferent, could not just live a life the way it was before. I'll tell you why. We are addicted, and the Western society made us addicted to entertainment. And in the entertainment, anyone who exposed, adults or a kid, doesn't matter, to the entertainment system, got those twisted, wrong messages all time, constantly. And look how cruel, how cruelly they did it in order to make money. I want to talk about two things in brief. Movies and drugs. Let's start from drugs. I'm not updated to today. It's probably much worse than the last time I tried to understand what we're holding. But people are addicted to drugs from a very early age today in the Western society in general. Children, kids, in birthday parties of 9, 10, 11 years old, they're doing drugs. In many cases, parents want to believe that it's not true, but it is. Now, look at this. Let's go to psychologically to a very theoretical case. Imagine a kid, not young, not 9 years old, 10 years old. Someone, let's say, is 13, 14. All his friends in the parties doing some little, very light drugs, just for fun. He was educated and got very strong messages from the parents that it's dangerous and don't touch it. And he has strong personality, and he is not doing it. First of all, he lives in very, very impossible pressure, peer pressure. Everyone is doing it, right? But he is very strong. No, I'm not. I'm not touching any drugs. So come one party, another party, another party. Always people offer him, he refused. One day, after many times that he refused, he thought to himself, I know it's wrong. I know it's not good. I'm not going into it. But my friend told me that they feel so great when they took it after, right? I just want to understand what their feelings. So I take it once with control. But once, and that's it, just in order to see what is this. And he did. And because he never took drugs before, he really felt high, really good. Okay, but he was strong-minded. One time, he felt it, he knew it, okay. Few months passed, another party, he refused to take. But then, let's say half a year after, he emotionally felt not good because of other reasons, and he felt down. And it was a party. And again, the friends has drugs, and they offer him. And he remembered that half a year ago, he took, and he felt so good. And he said, you know what? Now I'm feeling so down, let's take again. If he will take the same amount, he will feel high, right? But a little bit less than he felt last time. Why? Because the drugs are foreign things that the body do not need. When you took it first time, there are all the reaction against it from the immune system, and that is the feeling of the high. But the body is very smart. After once it happened, it's recorded. Next time, for the same amount, they will not send so many soldiers to push the attack. The body will send the right amount. So it will be less high. Now, if he will want to feel the same feelings, right? What do you have to do?
Take more.
To increase the amount, right? Okay? And that is the system that how it starts. How do you become addicted? And from very light, very not dangerous, you go deeper and deeper. Then you become addicted. And it could go until you kill yourself. This is not the way it is. Meaning, in order to feel the same high, you have to increase the amount. You will feel the same, but you'll ruin your system until you kill yourself. Now let's go to movies. Now, because the Western society built on philosophy that the purpose of life, what is the purpose of life? There's a very big philosophical question, right? What is the purpose of life? What's the answer of the Western society? One word, fun. It's the deep meaning of life. Fun. Now everyone has their fun, but the purpose of life, why you were born, what's the purpose of your life? To have fun. Now, of course, with limits, don't hurt others. But as long as you do not hurt others, have fun. This is the reason why you get to this world. Have fun. Now, because of that, they're fighting now to legalize drugs. Because why do you care? People become happy, right? And this is the purpose of life. So let them be happy. Let them be happy. Okay, now let's move to a different sickness called movies. The producers of the movies, they are businessmen. They want to make money. They want to take the dollars from your pockets to their pockets. Now they choose that the business will be movies. What is behind it? They realize that people are curious. And because people are curious, they will be willing to pay money in order to fulfill their curiosity. Now, why curiosity? What they're curious about? They realize that people want to feel excited. There is a need to be excited. Now they thought, how could we make people excited? So instead of telling you, listen, go to a tour to South Africa, to South America, to wherever to see in we will give it to you to your living room. With 3D, HD, you'll feel that you're there. You're there, okay? They realize that there are two motives that could make people excited. One of them is violence. It's a sick excitement, but people get excited when they see violence. There is something in every human being that wants to see extreme. Want to see extreme, and it's more dangerous, and it's more cruel, and it's more violence. It excited people. It's a sick need, but it's in everyone, and they build on it. They count on it. So they start to make horror movies. You know about horror movies? People just excited about it. People saw this crazy stuff. Now I remember, let's be, very delicate. Years ago, when I was a kid, I didn't see this movie, but everyone talked about this movie. I was at the time in Israel, but that was an international, very, very famous movie, and it was about violence. And I'm talking about Bruce Lee. Remember, or you heard the name Bruce Lee? Bruce Lee. That was something like called omanut lechima, that you do like this, and your enemy is falling down, So it's, according to what we're talking about today, it's so innocent, right? But when this movie went out, the producer made fortune on it. It was something new, and he really became a big millionaire from this movie. Why? Because it shows something that makes people excited, which is violence. Now imagine 2 years after the movie was shown everywhere, this producer is greedy, and he said, oh, it succeeded, let's go for it again. If we made another Bruce Lee, we called it Bruce Lee number 2, if we will put the same amount of violence, is the second one will be successful like the former one? No. Why? People will say, we were in this movie already. It's boring. So in order to get the same impact, he has to increase the amount and the level of the violence, right? And he did. Not just him. That was 30-something years ago. Since then, you know how many producers made money on the same way of thinking? So what do they have to do? To increase and increase and increase and increase and increase. And I have no clue, Baruch Hashem, where they're holding today. But I'm sure it's completely crazy. Completely. Who pays the price? The people who watch the movies. Why? Because it's sick to see someone torturing others and enjoy the fact. But that's what they're doing. If someone, chas v'shalom, will go tomorrow in the street and will see someone with a big knife running after someone else, getting him and stop and kill him. And you will see the murder in your eyes, not in the movie. Every healthy, normal human being should be so in shock that we will need a treatment. right? Because it's so it's so horrible. But if this person will see it day after day after day after day, the 13th time, even the 10th time, even the second or the third time will be much less shocking than the first one. So what happened? You become indifferent to the situation. You ruin your sensitivity. You ruin your personality. You ruin yourself. Now go back to the movies, and see what they did. They weep. The people who watch the movies pay the price. They do not care. They want your money. They're so cynical. But the Western society, no, they're not excited about anything today. There is another motive who sells movies. And that's related to the thing that we spoke before, right? 40 years ago, 45 years ago, when they show a couple kiss in a movie, people were standing in a line. Wow, they're kissing. They're showing kiss, a real kiss in the movie? Now, since then, 45 years ago, they used the same motive in order to make people excited, right? What actually they did? They ruined the ability to, they ruined they ruined the personality and the ability of the personality to enjoy normal things. If today, any producer in Hollywood will make a movie, that in this movie, he will show only beautiful foliage and sceneries and very good, nice music in the background, aside from few old ladies in Rehavia, no one will go to see this movie. People could not enjoy anything today because they were in this movie already. And I need more and more and more. And now, and they influence the life of people because it's not stayed in the movies. The movies set norms. In the movies, they show in every movie, even for movies for children, a family, successful businessman, married to beautiful lady. But in every movie, there is another person, a lover. And the businessman, because he's so successful, of course, he will betray his wife. Of course she will go with, they show it in the movies. A little kid watch this. And he's looking for his identity. And he thinks to himself, conscious or subconscious, I want to be successful in my life. I want to be successful like this businessman. But he knows exactly what that means. It's not just money. It's also not to be faithful to my wife. It's also this and this and this, and they teach this, and it's become a norm. And this way they succeeded to break completely the family institution. No more families. Again, what is the twisted, wrong philosophy? The purpose of life is fun. You have to take care only of yourself. So if you fell in love with someone, even though if you married, you could not prevent yourself from having fun. That's why we have to learn Torah. Not just learn. First of all, learn. Because I hope with this lecture, I made those two ideas, philosophies, so contradict each other. But many people could live a Jewish life, learning from here and there, but live completely in the wrong society, thinking that this is the way of life. Not true. We have to learn the truth, and the truth is only what the creator of us and the universe gave us. This is the Torah. but not just live it, just learn it. Live it. If we care about our life, about our children's life, we must understand this, and we must change the way we running our life. We must stop watching this garbage. It's not just from religion point of view. For the sake of being human and sane, get rid of your TV. You get through it only garbage that ruin your way of thinking, your feelings, your personality, and the personality of your children. Get rid of it. Use the technology for good. See, I'm doing it. I use YouTube. I have on YouTube more than 600 shiurim lectures in Hebrew and in English. Some of them in English, and about 200 in English, my English. The rest are in Hebrew. We should use technology, but we have to be really careful how to, because this technology is a big gift. It's a wisdom that God gave us in order to develop things. But unfortunately, many bad elements using it to ruin our life. And we have to be smart. We have to be responsible for our life. I believe that most of the problems that people facing today in the terms of getting married, ability to hold married, educate children, have a good relations with your children, many of the problems, if not all of them, are because of the fact that we are living in this garbage. We're exposed to this twisted way of thinking. So the only way is to just disconnect from them and live normal life. We need to build a ghetto. You know, once they put us Jews in ghetto against our wills. Today we have to build a ghetto. You have to be snobbish. Choose the people, choose the society that's around you. The way they talk, what they talk about, be snobbish. This is the only way. This is the only way to stay sane. So I hope this talk, this lesson of tonight, will have an impact. And if we'll follow it, for sure, in all levels, in all directions, our life will be better. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.